Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sincerely Self podcast. Today, we are joined by a very exciting guest. We have Zach Smith with us here today. He's the founder and CEO of Anywhere.com. So, Zach, just give us a little bit about you and kind of your journey.
Wow. Well, how much time do you have? It's been a certainly a long journey. This has basically been an organic expression of myself and my business partners' lives. We're not some guys that met in business school and put together a pitch deck and went and found investors. Really, this has emerged through lived experience and relationships and um, yeah, different opportunities that I was aware enough to notice and kind of just keep working on. I feel like the business itself is actually more of an ongoing project than a fully baked uh, thing. So
I love that you focused on being aware enough to notice because I think that's such a key point. A lot of us go around in life so unaware and we don't even really realize it. So I love that that was a pinpoint in your story was being aware to see the signs.
yeah, I really think that that's pretty fundamental. Frankly, whether we're conscious or unconscious, our lives are at this very present moment a unique synthesis of our choices. So, in some cases, before those choices are made, there might have been some intention or some consciousness that got you into that situation. Or you're maybe less conscious and just going through the motions because that's what other folks are doing around you, and that's normalized. And
Mhm.
I think there's nothing wrong with either. We just need to get through the day. Ultimately, that's just part of life. But I think there are periods of time where, yeah, being really aware in that present moment and who you're encountering, where you find yourself, and then reflecting, you kind of can then leverage that and start forging a new path. And so I think that a lot of times it can start with core values, or it can start with certain goals that you might want to achieve, or a way in which you want to express yourself in the world. And then you just got to live it. I mean, really, and be patient with yourself. I think that's another thing that can hang people up is I want this. I deserve this. And yeah, that's all true. But you might have to go through some muck for a while to get that feeling, or to get that to that place you want to go to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I always say that you have to go, it has to get really, really bad before it's going to get really, really good. So I love that you use the example of just like a mucky, bad period because that's really the hardest part about growth and getting out of this autopilot that we're all kind of stuck in. And once you overcome that, that's when things get good. Not to say that they're not going to go through a rough period again, but I think if people power through and get through that hard period, that's when they're going to see the reward from it.
Right. And many people have communicated like the obstacle is the path, for example, I think is a very famous quote. And again, our minds want us to be comfortable, frankly, a lot of the time.
Mhm.
When we let the thoughts kind of enter our heads, we can start to listen to them maybe too much. And it's yeah, there's easy buttons everywhere in this world. And so I think if you're really on that path towards growth, you just have to sit with those feelings for a period of time and then find a way to let them go and stay focused on the bigger picture, because that's key. If you get thrown off course because someone said something to you, or you start reading something that all of a sudden makes you a little more hesitant with your intention or direction, then Well, that's not listening to yourself, is it? That's listening to somebody else or listening to some narrative that, reinforces something in your mind that, again, is necessary to overcome. I think you must transcend that negative chatter. It's very important.
Oh yeah. There's a book called The Mountain Is You. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's one of my favorite books. And I feel like it goes along so well with what you were saying, that really the biggest obstacle we have to learn to overcome is our inner critic and our inner self-doubt and worrying so much about what other people think, because it really is us who is the one in control at the end of the day. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and again, we all need reminders. We all need to find a little community that helps us, or have books that we can rely on to help reinforce some of these timeless principles. And again, there's just too many to mention, but it is
Mhm.
true that when you can build that inner compass about where you want to go, what you want, what you believe in, what are your intentions that you want to bring into relationships or bring into your professional world. That internal compass helps you navigate all the complex choices we have to deal with. And it is necessary just to rely on that when in doubt. And as over time, maybe it's not relying on it. It's like just naturally flows from you. That compass is your path to, yeah, again, it sounds kind of funny, but that's how I think of these things is in your own life, there's just so many lessons. And if you're not helping those lessons reinforce how you're building your compass or the emotions that were associated with certain choices that taught you something, you must actually just build that little inner compass. And I think that that's really fundamental to staying true to who you want to become.
Yeah, I love the analogy of the inner compass because it's so true. Once you start becoming more in tune and aware of yourself, you do have almost this little guide, this inner compass, like you said, that will help you know where you should go or which places you should be so that you can run into the people and the circumstances that are aligned with you. And I know your business partner, you kind of have a crazy story of how it aligned for you to meet him. So kind of tell us the story behind that and how it all lined up.
Yeah, this was a one of the more uh, amazing serendipitous experiences I could say that I've had, and I've had a few, believe me. But almost 20 years ago, I was in Costa Rica, and I had been working there for a little while and was very interested in actually uh, starting a tourism business myself. And I was a kind of a backpacker. I had graduated from university, and I didn't want to go right into a job. I wanted to travel for a while, and so I was reading books and learning Spanish, and had explored a lot of Central America. And then, uh, long story short, I was at this point where, hey, I think I understand a little bit about these regions, and one relationship led to another, and all of a sudden I was answering emails and helping people figure out where to go on their trip to a couple little towns in Costa Rica. And I had never really worked in travel before, but this just kind of felt natural. Oh, cool. Get to help people navigate this amazing place and help them make the best use of their time while they are there. And the truth was, a lot of people were not doing that. A lot of people were showing up and stuck on a big group tour bus, or doing things that maybe were, um, just they were travel products. So anyway, long story short, I had this intention to start a business. And I was on this aerial tram going through the rainforest, and right across from me was a couple, and I could tell they were on a package trip. I could tell they were just kind of in the country for a week, and I'm just this traveling person. I speaking Spanish, know all this whole region so well, and the judgy side of myself was kind of right there, and then this other side of myself was, what do I got to lose? I might as well communicate what I'm planning to do. Even though I hadn't told my family, I hadn't told my friends, no one knew that this was something I had really wanted to do. So this person across from me was the first person who I told. And this person is my business partner today. And we've been in business for almost 20 years together. He just so happened to be a software engineer and was very interested in doing something outside of the United States. And little by little, I just was communicating the intention that I had. And he had the tools that I knew I needed. I knew I needed a technology partner. And all of a sudden, the universe provided a very amazing surprise. And we've just been, yeah, doing the best we can day in and day out for, yeah, almost 20 years. And again, the business didn't start as anywhere.com. It was an organic process that relationship allowed for us to continue to work together and transform our ideas into what it is today. And it's still a project, as I kind of said earlier.
Yeah, that story is so crazy. It's so true to the testament of the inner compass, like you were saying. Like you happen to be on the tram, you happen to feel like you should share what you want to do with these people that you're just meeting for the first time. And him happening to be a software engineer, like the way that it all just lined up so perfectly is so crazy. And if you hadn't been so aware and in tune with yourself, you might have not gone there at that moment, or you might have not said anything to him. So I think that story is so cool.
Yeah, I mean it's incalculable, and again that's one truly a phenomenal example. I have others, but it's one of those things where if you're not present and open, you'll miss.
Oh
And
yeah.
again, if you think everyone is uh, there to help you, that might be a little difficult, but you just have to kind of sense it and move um, with the idea that there's there's other people with experiences all around you, um, and 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 again sharing and expressing and then letting them decide or tell you or reflect back if that aligns or not. And that's it anyway. It's very hard to scientifically nail this stuff down, but it does show up. And one more example, just so you kind of get to know that some of the biggest relationships in my life have because of these sort of experiences.
Yeah.
I was I was on a JetBlue flight from Seattle to New York. I had no assigned seat, and I was going for a travel conference in New York City. And I check in, and they assigned me a seat. I'm like, whoa, 1A, cool. So sitting on the front of the plane, and there, as I was getting my luggage coordinated on the seat and sitting down, there was another person. And this was a very attractive woman. And she started talking to me saying, hey, you can't put your bag under the seat. You're not allowed. And I said, well, we'll see about that. I don't know. And and then sure enough, the stewardess comes over and says, you can't put your bag there, sir. And okay, I put my bag away. And then she says, I told you so. And we started talking for a few hours right away, had so much common ground. She was going out to business in New York. She had a food business, so we were both entrepreneurs. Uh, she also had an unassigned seat.
Mm.
Her father had a travel business and was responsible for bringing lots of people from the Northwest to China uh, in the 80s when things were just opening up there. And it was just like, oh, this is cool. So we stayed in touch, hung out for a few days in New York, and fast forward, this is my wife, and we have two kids, and it all just happened. Again, just that nice surprise that the universe from time to time delivers, and staying open can transform your life.
Yeah, that is crazy. The fact you both had unassigned seats and so many things in common. It really goes to show like, yeah, if you are following your internal compass, you're going to have these little things happen that, like you were saying, there's no scientific way really to explain that, but you just know that it's because you were where you were supposed to be, because you were listening to yourself. And I think a lot of people get scared to travel, scared to follow that inner compass if it's guiding them somewhere that they're not comfortable with. But like the two examples you gave us were people that you would have never met if you didn't go out of your comfort zone and try something new. So that is so cool that you've been able to have those experiences.
Yeah, and again, I have periods where I'm not so open. I'm a little closed, and and so I think everyone has chunks of time where they need to just rest or restore, or there's plenty of moving parts already in their life and just focus
Yeah.
on daily tasks. And so it's not necessarily always about these, big, huge moments, but they really do show up, and they're out there as soon as you come up for air sometimes. You just got to be open to it and ready. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, I love that you're putting a focus on kind of almost like a hibernation period in a way, because it is important to take some time in to rest and kind of rejuvenate and kind of refigure yourself out. Because I think life kind of comes in waves, and sometimes you will be super extroverted and know exactly what you want and feel so aligned. And even after that, you're going to have a period where it might not feel that way. So I love that you're normalizing that and telling people that it is okay. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, what's wrong with me? I thought I had it all figured out until it kind of falls apart again.
Well, again, that's why I think I've had to embrace um, patience, and I think it, in a weird way, is one of my superpowers. And you certainly can't control all the time, all the things all the time.
Mhm.
You might be able to control some of them some of the time, uh, but ultimately there's a fabric of relationships, of processes, of uh, things happening around us that we cannot control all of them all the time. So,
Right.
it being patient and again, following that inner compass is critical, I think, to long-term stability, which I think is also fundamental, as is presence, and if things are a little low or you're not feeling in flow, that's okay. You just get familiar with those emotions, get familiar with what it feels like to walk around in that valley. And
Mhm.
and that's again a teachable moment.
Yeah. I love how through these examples that you've given, the way that you talk about kind of talking to yourself, like the self-talk is so important. Like telling yourself it's okay, reminding yourself that it's normal, like all of these things that I think a lot of the time get lost in the healing journey. Sometimes people hold themselves to way too high of a standard. And so I love that you're normalizing the self-talk of telling yourself it's okay, you're gonna get there and it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, and having little habits maybe that
Mhm.
can um, help you when those feelings do come up. It's, hey, go on a walk. Like, put your phone down, don't touch it. Uh,
Mhm.
Forget about your email and forget about all the shoulds for a little while, and just go on a walk and get your heart rate up, um, or pick up a book that you have been avoiding for the last 3 months. And you know, that little voice in your head has been telling you that, "Ah, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later." Well,
Mhm.
no, do it now. If those feelings are there, that means you need to take responsibility to create a shift. And the
Yeah.
shift doesn't have to be big. It just can be a very small. Instead of ordering food, just go shopping and pick out some groceries and make yourself a meal. And that forces you to stay in the present moment. So
Hmm.
anyway, there's so many habits, and there's I don't have a formula, frankly. I think people are constantly trying on different formulas, and I'd say that's a good recipe too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think it really just comes down to whatever feels right for you and whatever feels the most comfortable and the most normal for you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Zach, and get sharing your stories and all of your insight. I will have all of the links for Zach in the show notes wherever you're listening or watching the show so that you can go and check him out. Thank you for joining us today, Zach,
Wonderful to be here, Alexi.
and I will see you guys next week.